Hey, this is Thursday, November 12th and Friday, November 13th, regular class. We're going to try and get into this learning thing. We've been babbling about the fact that the world's on fire, and now kids don't get to come back to school. Now the world's going to be on fire at home, and we had a big crying session, and we all just got done blotting our eyes and bonding and pat each other on the back and fun stuff like that. Now, let's get into some form of learning or drawing Among Us characters on our books, all pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, good idea.
IXL, there is no new IXL this week. You do have a homework this week, which we will talk about coming up, but at least going off my previous classes, it did not seem to make them as angry as IXL did. So fingers crossed, you guys are also as unangry as previous classes. And for those of you who are watching recording, I'm handing out copies of the Shadow Club book. If you are watching recording, then you probably don't have physical copy of book. You get physical copy of book. So you just have to find a way to come by school, and then we can try to get you physical copy of book. We begin reading this next Thursday, November 19th. So I'd love to get you physical copy. You get to keep it. You get to draw Among Us characters on the inside of it if that's what brings you happiness. So find a way to get copy of book. You've already paid for it. If you don't claim it, then I get to use them to wallpaper my house. There. And battle haiku, blue children. Do we have any of you guys that had a battle haiku that you did not get a chance to read and you would like to do? No, you're just staring at me. Okay. Red children, I'm assuming you've already had your time for battle haiku. You guys just stared at me. And gray children, you already had your excitement of trying to attack me as I'm watching you smile at me right now. So it'll be the exact same thing from there. You're excited, like, Mr. Broviak, attacking you is a dream come true. I feel the same way. But then we get to this poem, which we did not quite finish. So we're going to do finishy thing now and get to a little bit of a story and try to entertain you slightly. The Unjust poem, which was the one that was all weird and creepy and stuff like that. We're going to get further into the weird, creepy guy that's in there. If you are following along at home, it is the new handout that has the 2R and the 3R on it. And so we're going to go to the back side where the 2R where it says Unjust. That's where the poemy thing is. We got through most of poem. Now we're just going to have to get to end bit of poem. Let's get to end bit of poem. Excuse me. Let me reread it because there's a chance you guys have slept since the last time we did this, which was yesterday. Unjust. Unjust spring, when the world is mud luscious, the little lame balloon man whistles far and wee, and Eddie and Bill come running from marbles and piracies, and it's spring when the world is puddle wonderful. The queer old balloon man whistles far and wee, and Betty and Isabel come dancing from hopscotch and jump rope, and it's spring, and the goat-footed balloon man whistles far and wee. So we talked about the poem a little bit. Let's see, so far we have, I'm not doing impact learning. I just like to hold this stick because it brings me happiness. What season is it taking place? Spring. Nicely done. Beginning, middle, or end of spring? Ooh. Yeah, 4, 3, 6. So let's go back and find out and see if Ellie's right or if we get to. So we have what season comes before spring? Well done, Max. It scares me that was not the easy answer. I said, what season comes before spring? And you guys are like, so winter, what's on the ground during winter time? There you go. And so what we're dealing with here is you have winter time, you have all that snow on the ground. What happens to that snow when we get to spring? So if this little line right here is winter into springtime, our poem is that stage where you just go from winter into spring. So what part of spring is that? At least you're strong and forced, Ellie. I like how you don't give up. And so the very beginning part of spring, where you have all the mushy stuff on the ground, because it talks about mud luscious and puddle wonderful, and showed you a creepy picture of mud babies. And so the idea of all these kids who are super excited about running around and playing in the mud and stuff like that, because this is that time of year when the weather first changes. In springtime, when it's like hits 50 degrees, and you're like, it's like summer, and you go running around outside, you're wearing shorts, your parents are like, what's wrong with you? I guess you are. they're like, it's barely out of the fort. He's like, I don't care. And you go right. That's when the story is taking place. So mud luscious. The kids are running around and jumping in the mud puddles and having a great time. Who's our main character in poem? Balloon Man. And then we get to what a balloon man is. All right. I wasn't sure how far we'd gotten with you guys before. So a balloon man is a guy that went around and sold balloons. If you've ever been to like a carnival or a fair or Disney World, or if you've ever seen a clown living in a sewer, that give you an idea of what they're referring to. The balloon man was a guy who went around and sold balloons. That was how he made his money. So you have Guy going around selling all of these different balloons. That was how he made his money. There's also a Disney movie based on this. Nicely done. Carl from Up, he was a balloon man. Beginning of story, he was one that worked at the zoo with his wife, and then she died and got all sad. You're like, Disney, why do you make me cry? Same idea. And he put all the balloons on top of a house. He was a balloon man. Our main character in poem is a balloon man. So I know he looks like a special balloon man. Try not to judge my balloon man. It was really hard to find a good picture of one, so I had to get creative. I can feel your judging from here. So on this one, it refers to our balloon man as being lame. This is a word that has changed over time. The way you use it now is not what it originally meant. Now, when you call your parents lame, what does that mean? Right. It means it's when your parents go, hey, I've got a great idea for Friday night. You're like, we're going to a movie? They go, even better. Let's get out the vacation photos and eat some popcorn. And you're like, oh my God, that is so lame. Like, well, you can invite your friends. Or be like, oh my God, no. That's the current definition of lame. That's not the original definition of lame. What lame first meant was if you were broken or injured in some way. So like if all of a sudden, like if you see a kid in the hallway who has like the little boot on or is going by in crutches, that would be the definition of lame. So our balloon man has like a funky leg, whereas he's trying to walk around. He's like, funky, 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 as he goes walking around. Mr. BroviCast, does that mean if I see a kid in the hallway on crutches, I can yell out, you're lame? Legally, yes, because they are. And if they yell at you, you got legally binding, because that is the definition of lame, is to have a broken leg. Now, if they start chasing you, just laugh, because they're not going to catch you. And just like, you just go running away from them. He's like, you can catch me if you are so lame. It's hilarious. And plus, I mean, what are you going to do? Kick you out of school? I mean, that's going to happen anyway. So, sorry. Right. As Max pointed out, they can't even kick you because, again, they're lame. So anyway, back to here. Our balloon man, broken leg, has issues, but he still has to make money. So how does he get the kids to come to him? This is where the whistling comes in. Apparently, it's creepy if you just walk around screaming, get your balloons, get your fresh hot balloons off the balloon grill. So that does not work nearly as well. So he does like a whistling thing. He's like, I don't know what whistle is. Whistle. So use your own imagination and make a balloon whistle. That's what he was doing. Now, this next part here, wherever he's walking, I'm going to assume it's like a park or something like a neighborhood or something like that. These kids end up hearing him. Kids, Eddie and Bill. These are two kids. They smashed the name. I know. They smashed the names together for a reason. So use your imagination for a moment. We have these two little kids who are all excited. They're out playing games. What two games are the kids playing? What are marbles? There you go. Marbles is a game from even before my childhood, back to like pre-dinosaur times, where literally you have like these little glass things on the ground, and I thought you took them and like chucked them at your friends, but apparently that's not how you played with marbles. There was like a circle on the ground, you'd like flip them with your thumb. I don't know, my grandpa tried to describe them to me, and I'm like, Grandpa, I have a Nintendo. And he was like, these are better. I'm like, not in my world. So apparently that's how marbles work. The other game the kids are playing,
Before.
piracy. And so piracies, they're not stealing DVDs online, which is what kids assumed earlier. And they're like, they're playing marbles and illegally downloading movies? No, that's not quite what they're doing. That's pirating, which is connected. This is another type of piracy. You guys. There you go. Sorry, I was trying to play charades and I was failing epically. I was trying to cover my eye because this would be thank you. And I lifted up one leg. There. Mr. Broviak, are pirates lame? Pirates are lame because they have the one leg and the little hook hand thing. And so they're pretending to be pirates. Well, that makes him a lame pirate because all the cool pirates are missing body parts. So apparently that makes him lame in a different way. So anyway, back to our lame pirates. We have Eddie and Bill, who are all excited because all of a sudden, while they're playing pirates and marbles, they hear Balloon Man going by doing Balloon Man whistle, doing the whole whistle, whistle, whistle. They're like, ugh, and they get super stoked. And they both want to go buy these two balloons. So the thing is, they're boys. And boys don't just walk over to go get the two balloons. What are boys going to do? Exactly. And let's find out. Let's say Eddie wants the blue balloon because he knows that's Bill's favorite balloon because Eddie's a jerk. So what are the two boys going to be doing? Like you guys know how boys work or something. And so exactly. So all of a sudden, instead of Eddie and Bill, they get smashed together and they become Eddie and Bill as they go running like, that's my blue balloon. And they're throwing elbows in the other kid's face. He's like, you got the blue balloon last time. And so they're fighting and yelling and rushing at each other. So Eddie and Bill becomes one thing, which is just Eddie and Bill, all one word. Then we get to the second half, where it says, the queer old balloon man whistles far and wee, and Betty and Isabel come dancing from hopscotch and jump rope, and it's spring, and the goat-footed balloon man whistles far and wee. Who's our character again? This time it refers to Balloon Man with giggle word, queer. Much like lame, queer has changed over time. Now, queer has been taken over by the LGBTQ community because in LGBTQ, the Q is queer. That's not the original definition of queer. You guys know the original definition of queer. Nicely done. Close. Max said happy, which I get a lot, and that was gay. Gay originally meant happy, and it was taken over. That's what the G is in LGBTQ. Q meant weird, not Q. Queer meant weird, strange, unusual, different. By definition, I'm fairly queer because if I'm not weird, strange, and different, I don't know what would qualify as weird, strange, and different. So our balloon man is going to be a little on the weird, strange, and different side. I mean, look at him. He's wearing a bow tie and a necktie. I mean, Max is balloon man shaming. He's apparently really scared of balloon men. And so, yes, we have balloon man who comes across as a little strange, and he's whistling. And yet he's like, balloons, get your balloons. And all the kids like, balloons. And instead of running away from him, they're running towards him. And then we add two new characters in, which would be where Betty and Isabel come in. And again, these are two people, Betty, and it's supposed to be Isabel, but again, to make it, they glue them all together. Now, given these are girls, so they're not fighting like the boys did, because girls are slightly more sophisticated.
How dare you?
What games are the girls playing? Well, one, you guys know what hopscotch is?
Yes.
Every time I do this, kids are like, of course we know what hopscotch is. It's been around for like 300, at some point, I'm going to get to a year when kids are going to go, what's this hopscotch thing? But apparently you guys are still playing hopscotch. Go that one. So then I'm assuming you know what jump rope is because that's the thing that PE teachers make you guys do. You guys are like, how many done yet? Are we up to 4? And so that's the whole jump ropey thing. Now, the girls, their names are smashed together, not because they're fighting. Is correct. The girls are happy and friendly and holding hands, and they're like, da, 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 and they're having a good time doing the happy, skippy, jumpy thing as they go running up to it. I couldn't find a good picture of two girls dancing together. So I'm going to need you to use your imagination on this next part and just roll with me, all right? This is two girls who are dancing. So if you're having trouble imagining it, just like squint your eyes or something like that, because after a while I just gave up finding a good picture. Because that's how people dance. I don't know why their butts are hanging out. I try not to, I'm not butt shaming them. I'm assuming this is how girls dance. And so this is them dancing. Mr. Broviak, your poem's getting real creepy real fast. Don't worry, it's also going to connect to your childhood in a second too. Mr. Broviak, you don't know my child. Trust me, this poem is going to connect to all of your childhoods in just a second. Then, after we go past hopscotch, jump rope, two girls dancing, we get to the part where it refers to the balloon man as being goat-footed. And here's where it's going to get real weird for a moment. Let me give you a small story. The goat-footed is going to be a reference or an allusion to Greek mythology. In Greek mythology, the guy who trained Hercules was a half man, half goat creature. Or if you have seen Percy Jackson, half man, half goat, looks like here, God of nature, Satyr, S-A-T-Y-R. Top half was a man, bottom half was a goat. And from the Hercules, Greek mythology, pops up in Harry Potter, pops up Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it goes to there, he's Mr. So that's what they're referring to. In Greek mythology, here's how these guys operated. They were supposed to exist, and they were forest gods, protectors of the woods, protectors of animals, but they were not violent. They never took like swords and went around stabbing people. Their goal was they protected the woods in a different way. He used what is called a panpipe because his name was actually Pan. That was the guy who was the first one out there. And so this pipe was magical. And they always have these pipes on them. And if you blew across the pipe, it would hypnotize people. So he would wait in the woods until somebody came in there and like broke into the woods who wasn't supposed to be there. He would sneak up near them and start playing his pipe. Hoodly, 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 hoo. And when he hoodly hooed, you would hear like, what is that? And you'd go right into zombie mode. And then he would play it while dancing deep into the woods. Hoodly, 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 hoodly. And you'd be like, and you just follow him deeper, deeper into the woods until he got you way deep and lost. He'd be like, hoodly, whoop, and he'd stop and then run away giggling. You would be like, let's go. You'd look around and he would leave you where wolves, bears, angry chipmunks, stuff like that was all around you. And then those animals would kill you. So that's the connection. Now follow me for a second. The poet is making a reference between the balloon man and that character. My question is, why?
Because it's an illusion to kill the little kids.
Slightly creepy. So not so much the child killing, but definitely more the idea of the little children, when they have heard the balloon man's whistle, they can't resist it. And so even though they're like, Mr. Broviak, that guy's creepy. Like, we know. Like, but he's whistling. Like, oh, I know. You're like, well, what's the whistling? Balloons. And the little kids come running up. It was the same thing. Now, hang on. Here's where it's going to connect to you guys. This poem was written over 100 years ago. And normally, I would not use a poem like that. It's like, but there is a thing from your childhood which did not exist when this poem was written, that almost follows this exact same thing. Don't yell it out loud yet. You're going to figure it out. Think about it. There is a creepy guy who goes around neighborhoods making music. And when kids hear this music, they want to come running out of their houses and give creepy guy money. And they will fight each other to be the first in line to get to creepy guy, even though everyone's like, have you seen that guy? He's super creepy. They're like, I don't care how creepy he is because of what he has in his white van. Because who is it? Two?
Candy.
The ice cream man. So this poem
White.
is Max is really entertained by ice cream men. So Max is dying because apparently ice cream really excites him. I'm not even sure how to follow. So anyway, poem, it was all about this whole ice cream man thing. All right. Oh, the guy.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry. If you see top right picture, creepy guy who's really sweaty. Apparently Max was really entertained by sweaty guy. That was really entertaining him. Ethan? I mean, it could be. Hopefully you don't have clowns whistling in your neighborhood, Ethan. That might be a whole other conversation we have to have. So now, let me go to moving on from creepy poem and sweaty guys. Best we can. Mr. Broviak, creepy sweaty guy poem is my favorite. Special children. So what I want to do now is I have another poem, but I don't want to tell you what it is yet. Hang on. I want to try an experiment I've not done. This came to me this past week. I want to try it for you guys. I want to show you a couple words. See if you know what these words mean, and then see if you can figure out what the poem is about just from the words. Ready? So here are the words. Nobody. You know what nobody means? So what if I call you a nobody? What does that mean?
I'm just regular.
Works for me.
You're a nobody.
You can't define it with its own word. So I put a not important person. Then what is a somebody? Works for me.
Important person.
Yeah, works for me too. I put a person you care about in some way. You guys know what banish means? Good. So, like if you were to make poor choices in class, you would get banished to the hallway. So it means to kick out in some way. I put to get rid of, make go away. And you guys know what dreary means? Not bad. So is it a good or bad thing? All right. So dreary, depressing, dark, ungood in some way. That's what dreary is. Public? Good. So someplace where other people are going to be found. And I think admire works for me. To look up to, nicely done. I put to look up to, and then the last word, a bog, is a noun. It is a place. It is a swamp. I just told you what it is.
Shrek.
Nicely done. Shrek is a solid reference. I had kids earlier make the same reference. So here's my question for you. The poem I'm going to show you is a short poem. It's only like 2 stanzas long, but it uses nobody, somebody, banish, dreary, public, admire, bog. Can't tell you that yet. My question is a guess as to what this poem is about. If not, that's fine. I figure if you just have those words, I know we're going to find out in a moment.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Among Us, because then when I'm talking to
He went for Among Us because of the banishing. I mean, that could be. And you could, because you don't want to kill somebody in public. You admire somebody who's really good. That's more of a and then the bog. Ooh, going into an event would be kind of dreary. That's not a bad connection. All right, let's find out. The poem is called I'm Nobody. It's on the back side of the ingest one. It's that short little poem there. I like this one because it connects to junior high. I'm nobody. Mr. Broviak, that hurts. Give me a second. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? When there's a pair of us, don't tell. They banish us, you know. How dreary to be somebody. How public, like a frog, to tell your name the livelong day to an admiring bog. Mr. Broviak, that wasn't about Among Us at all. No, it was not. But I like what you guys came up with. Mr. Broviak, I don't even understand that poem. You will. Much easier than you think. Break it down. First line, what are they telling you? There you go. Yeah?
We're nobodies.
Ooh. Talking about a town with the nobodies and somebodies and poor. All right, not bad. So read this. First line, I'm nobody. Who are you? So how does the main character think about themselves with the speaker? Which means? There you go. Here's my picture of somebody who thinks of themselves a nobody. Go in with my picture. I apologize if you think that's a picture of you. Mr. Broviak, that's my picture. Down, tiger. And it says, who are you? Are you a nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. What do we find out about the person they're talking to? There you go. This is my other nobody. So you find out that there's apparently two nobodies. Then it says, don't tell, they banish us, you know. Here's my question. Who is the they they're referring to? The somebodies. What is the banish they mean? Now here's the thing. I'm connecting this to junior high. They can't kick you out. But what kind of banishing could a somebody do? Close. You're thinking of it as adults to children. So here, when they're talking about the somebodies, what are they talking about? Not adults.
Just uninclude us. Just don't talk ignore us.
They're talking about the popular kids, the somebodies, and the fact that how is it the somebodies here at school can banish the nobodies? They can kick you out of a nicely done. Now the thing is, Mr. Broviak, is that saying it's good to be popular? Second stanza says, how dreary to be somebody. Tells us not bad. So is it good to be somebody? Not bad. How public like a frog to tell your name the livelong day to an admiring. Did that one. What's the bog again? So the second stanza is trying to tell us, is it a good thing to be a popular person? So here's my question to you. Why? Knowing what you think of either celebrity culture or being popular at a school, here it's saying, hey, we're two dorky people. Be careful to let the popular people know we exist because the popular people will attack us. Then it goes on and says, how dreary to be a popular person. How upsetting, like having to say your name all the time. The question is, why would that possibly be a bad thing? Owen? All right. Being rude to somebody so they get expelled. I can see that. Max? Why could it possibly be bad to be popular? And so Max said they're annoying and they think they're better than everybody else. So here's part of what goes into it. So as soon as you find out that somebody is in that group, whether it be, say, a cheerleader, or whether you say you find out they're on the basketball team, or whatever that thing may be, is there an automatic assumption you seem to make about them then? And so, ooh, if you are in the popular group, can you wear whatever clothes you want without anyone making fun of you? Not the very top popular kids, but if you're not at the very top of popular kids. So the fact is that, so if you're not popular, can you wear whatever you want? Because what happens to you? There you go. And so they do popular kids bully each other if they don't wear the right clothes? Interesting. So that's part of what it gets into, is the idea of sometimes it's not always good to be popular. It sort of depends on who goes into that group. Anyway, I liked this poem. It was also one of the other poems that was written like 100-some years ago. And it was all about the idea of fitting in and being popular, and the fact that being popular was not always the right thing, because sometimes being popular is a lot more work and stress, and sometimes it's just easier being not popular. Now we get to our fun stuff. Now let's get to the more, Mr. Broviak, I thought that was entertaining. Oh no, Boo, we're getting to the better stuff. Well, not the idiom homework yet. We're just going to get to more learning stuff. So even though it makes PJ excited, we're not quite to this yet. Turn to backside of paper, where it has the idioms in the giant letters and it says backside. That's the thing we're going to get to first. We're going to write down notes to help you out. We get to play a little thing. We get to look at cartoons in a second too. They're the worst. So this first part, look in top right-hand corner where it says it is raining cats and dogs. You see top right-hand corner where it says it is raining cats and dogs. You're on backside of paper. Go over to the left and there's a blank square. That's the one we're starting in. All right. The first thing I have you do is write down the definition of an idiom. So in that spot right below idioms and above figurative and literal, you're going to write down the definition that's up there on the screen. As long as you watch the video by it, that's fine with me. Out you go. I think you're already gone. Never mind, Wyatt. All right, so an idiom is going to be a phrase with two definitions, figurative and literal. This is not going to make sense to you yet, but we're going to get there in a second. The figurative definition is going to be the common definition, what we know the phrase to mean. Gabriella Hall, leave your sister alone so she can write down notes and learn. Lily, banish your sister from the room. We just learned a poem about banishment. You're going to banish that horrible freshman and kick her out. There you go. That's right. As the Spanish say, yeet her from your room. I believe that's a Spanish phrase. There you go, Lily. I had your back on that one. Then the literal definition is going to be the word for word definition or the funny definition. The word for word or the funny definition. Mr. Broviak, this doesn't make any sense yet. I know, boo-boo. Give me a moment. We're going to get there. Yes. You want to make it big and obvious and easy to see because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier here in a second. The screen is getting ready to disappear. I mean, if you're a home child, you could just...
No. Can you not do it yet? I still need to write down some stuff.
Good screenshot it. Literally, you use your fingers. Clicky, clicky. And you can come back and look at it if you need to. I know. Now it's weird. It looks like you guys are all hugging your cameras. They're like, Mr. Broviak, hug. You got hands came right at it. It's kind of weird. All right. If it helps, that definition is going to be popping up again in just a moment. So even though it's gone, don't freak out. It's going to come back. So as an example, an idiom is a phrase that we use all the time, which would be real confusing to someone who does not speak very good English. Let's say that I start getting real frustrated in class because PJ just keeps talking. And I'm like, oh, PJ, all you're doing is talking. PJ's like, I just got to talk, yo. And I'm like, PJ, you're driving me up a wall right now. That's an idiom. What does that mean if I say you're driving me up a wall? That you're making me go insane. But if you're new to English and you're in class going, why are you in a car? He's right there. I'm confused. That would be the figurative versus literal. If you've never heard that phrase before, it gets real confusing. If you do hear, just like we have a quiz coming up in a little bit. If Lathe goes, Mr. Broviak, I'm going to ace that quiz. I'm like, good job, Lathe. That's an idiom. Because if he says, I'm going to ace that quiz, what does it mean? He's going to do well on it. If you've never heard this before, it's going to sound like, Mr. Broviak, I have a deck of cards. Shuffle, 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 slap, done, and then walk away. You're like, that's not what, no, you said ace the quid. And so that's the difference between the figurative and the literal, knowing what it means. Mr. Broviak, can we do some examples? Yes, it's going to make things much easier on you. Let's say when you guys leave today, I say, hey, grab your umbrella. It's raining cats and dogs outside. If you don't speak English, that's going to get real scary real quick. You're going to be like, what? Do we get to keep them? And you're going to be real confused. So let me walk you guys through this one. One, if this is an idiom, what are the two definitions that go in the yellow boxes? There you go. Figurative and literal. What does figurative mean? As in, what is the definition you wrote down on your paper? So this is the common definition, what we know the phrase to mean. You don't have to keep writing it. If you want to draw an arrow or just write that part, that's fine. Now, here's where you cannot globetrotter it. For those of you who want to protect your neck, this is where it's going to get kind of scary. I'm going to let Jermaine back in. Jermaine is alive. All right. When you do your definitions, you cannot reuse your nouns and verbs. So you can't use raining, cats, or dogs. But if I say it is raining cats and dogs, what do you know that to mean?
It's pouring out.
Pouring what?
Rain. It's raining really hard.
Good job, Globetrotters, who I just got done saying can't use the word rain.
Yeah, but if you said raining, I said rain. That's two different words.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Globetrotter. Did you say? Sorry, Max keeps saying I pledge allegiance to Globetrotter land. I couldn't hear him overweight.
Globetrotters suck. There's a bunch of liquid coming out of the sky.
Good job, Zachary. And there's a whole bunch of liquid coming out of the sky. That would also work. I put large drops of water are falling from the sky. Mr. Broviak, rain and raining are ow, my throat. And so again, yeah, get closer, right? And so then, what does literal mean? It's not the common definition. It's what does literal mean?
What the actual meaning is.
Good job, Jerry L.
Feelings and nouns are
The word for word or the funny definition. So I usually try to get you guys to avoid just saying actual. But now when you tell me what is it a child would think if you don't understand English and I say it's raining cats and dogs, again, you can't use rain or raining or cat or dog. What is it they think is happening? There you go. Animals are falling from the sky. I put felines and canines are dropping from the air. So that gives you the figurative, what you know it to mean, literal, what someone would assume it means if they know nothing about it. This is going to require you to use your imagination. This is how we can figure out which kids are globetrotters. Because when you're trying to figure out a synonym for something, if I say, hey, if the shoe fits, wear it, and you're like, you have to come up with another word for shoe, and you're like, sock holder? I'm like, yes, that would work. And you go, get. Yes, it's the funny definition. That's why it connects. Oh, and we had to skip it because we're behind you guys, because I know that's the same way. So if you need to stand for a moment while we continue on, that's fine. But if not, then we're going to run out of time. So I had to go speed past. I felt the same way. I didn't realize, like my other classes, we had done the Injust poem already. You guys, we did not get to the Injust poem at all. So apparently we struggled yesterday. So that kind of ate up our time today. So let's say we say this test is a piece of cake. Step one of the two definitions. Figurative and literal. There you go. What is the definition of figurative? There you go. Then, again, you can't use test or piece or cake. You can't use test. What you mean?
The quiz is delicious.
Balance is easy.
Now, the figurative. If I say this test is a piece of cake, that does not mean you're eating it. It means this assessment is extremely easy. That's fine. No, you're fine. You can put it is really easy. Literal means word for word and funny.
This quiz is delicious.
Not bad. bad. That would be much better. The literal one being, you could say this quiz is delicious. I went for this quiz is a tasty frosted dessert. I tried to find one I wasn't sure if you guys would know or not. You are barking up the wrong tree.
You're talking to the wrong person or the wrong subject about a person.
Yeah. If all of a sudden I start yelling at Ellie and I'm like, Ellie, get off your phone. I just saw you on there. She's like, Mr. BroviCast, it wasn't it? I guess right. She's like, you're barking up the wrong tree. I don't even have a phone. I'm like, oh man. And so that would be barking up the wrong tree. You are accusing the wrong person. So you have made a mistake about this. If you do the literal definition of that, it would be of this one.
The dog is yelling at a big brown thing.
Not bad, but not talking. That's not the same thing.
Making loud noises.
Better. I mean, you could say dog yelling because that's different than the normal. I put whooping, but that's where the whole making sure you're connecting it to the actual one on there. You are whooping up the incorrect tall bush.
You can still use the word wrong.
You could, but I would say wrong's an adjective. I would say normally try to avoid it unless you're trying to embrace your globetrotterishness. Even if you have never heard the idiom, you can always figure out the literal one. So even if I give you one like this, by the way, that's the rest of the notes to write down. The rest of this is just practice. If I give you the idiom, he is a silver-tongued devil, there's a good chance you've never heard that one.
So I can see, it's like screenshot the other thing. My brother was bothering me, so I couldn't screenshot it.
Is this one you want to screenshot?
Yep. Thank you. Right.
You're welcome.
Got it.
The rebels, they're the worst. All right.
I always know.
So on this one, silver-tongued devil, if you've never heard it before, then what would the literal one be?
Wait, devil.
Yeah. Globetrotter, down, child.
Use all three of the exact same note.
Not a bad guess. So if I call Zach a silver-tongued devil, you can't use silver, tongue, or devil.
You are worse than Satan.
Good, but again, you're missing out on. So I went for, he is a demon with a mouth muscle that is very shiny. So same idea. Again, when you get to things like tongue, you're like, I don't know what a synonym for tongue is. So I called it mouth muscle. And the same thing there, you have to figure out. So it gets a little bit harder. It actually just means that you're a smooth talker and can convince people, like you're a good salesman, because you can convince people to buy a thing they don't normally want. No. Cat, have your tongue?
Oh, I know that one. I know what actually.
What does it mean?
You can't speak because you're moving on your words.
Ironically, he said, I know what it means, and then couldn't say it, which would be an example of you're having trouble speaking in the words about. Not you, Jerry, the other kid in class. You did fine on that one. Different example. So on that one, if you did the literal, it would be a kid, globetrotter. Seriously, child. Good kitten. There you go.
Kitten means a baby cat. So really a kitten and a cat is not the same thing. Yeah, I'm not supposed to. That's why I said feline.
I would take a kitten is fine. I would take feline because it's a different thing, as long as it's not the same word as cat. We're really working on that globetrotter thing, aren't we? That's right, we're getting there.
I'm sorry,
I know, we'll forgive you. Finally, we got to a good one. So, a lot of times, comic strips will draw pictures of idioms because people will find, are you acting it out, Antoinette? And so we'll give you guys pictures of it. By the way, when you have your cameras on, I can't see you. Like you're literally right in front of me. Just making sure you're aware of that one. And so a lot of times the comic strips will go through and draw what you guys have. So I show you now. Get that one. Time wise. I have comic strips I wanted to show you where it says hold your horses. And so you have the guy down here with the wrestling where he's grabbing onto his wrestlers. And he says, hey, whoa, boys, maybe we need to rethink this. Where you can see the fact that he is holding on to his horses before they roll forward. I also have this one where you have the guy saying, hold your horses. The guy, it's the guy's last name. I know, it's the same thing. I was like, oh, the kids are going to kill me on this. I thought about erasing it, but it was like, nah, we'll just leave it on there. Karens need love too. So now I'm going to show you a series of pictures, and let's see if you can figure out what idiom connects to them. This one? There you go. So this would be a broken heart. So idiom, saying you have a broken heart or your heart broken has two different meanings. It does not mean that your heart has. You guys are smart. This one would be
Paper cut.
knives are done. Paper cut. Paper, the knives and stuff like that.
You spilled. Don't cry over spilled milk.
Well done. The phrase "don't cry over spilled milk." If you've never heard that one, it makes it really hard to understand it. But it's the idea of not making a big deal over a small thing. And this one's a little bit tougher. You have to know what these are musicians that are playing together. And it goes to copy machines or printers and things that sometimes happen on them. And when you have musicians that all play together, it's called a jam session. So this would be a paper jam. So it's good job. Sorry. I was watching the kids at home and your mouths were going, paper jam. Yes, I've got you on that one. Good teamwork. This one. Looks like you're correct, Finley. I'm watching your mouth as you go through and say it on that one.
Is it my brother?
This is one, you can't take these to Disney World anymore because there you go. It's a selfie stick. Because they got lost on rides and stuff like that. This one would be close. You're closest so far. Rocking chair. There you go. Chair. Rocking chair. And playing with fire. You know, when you've already lost like 12 B points, you're like, I'm gonna be making fun of kids. Like, ooh, you're playing with fire. Like, says you will never. Now, on this one, those are not, they're not bagels. Those are Cheerios.
Serial killers.
Well done, Jeria. Serial killers. Your brain works that way. This one is one of the tougher ones up there. Gun, that's a bullet. And you have the bullet is saying daddy, because this would be a male child, which would make this a, if it's a male child, son of a son of a gun. So son of a gun would work. All right. So now let me show you what you're going to be doing for your homework. It's not been a secret. I've been telling you guys this every day moving forward. If you turn this paper over to the other side, here's how your homework is going to work. I'll walk you guys through it. Let me show you examples of previous kids. You are going to pick an idiom, whatever idiom you want. It just can't be one that's been on the screen, or you can't get higher than like an 8 out of 10. You're then going to tell me the literal definition of your idiom, the figurative definition of your idiom, and you're going to draw pictures. If you can't draw this well, that's fine. I just picked ones that really had really good artwork that went into it. If you want to do stick figures, that's fine, as long as you put clothing on your stick figures. Naked stick figures freak me out. It's like a bunch of little skinny people coming at me, and it feels like they're weight shaming me. So as long as you put clothing on your stick figures, I'm okay with it. As an example, let's see if you can figure out what this idiom is. You have, don't let the feline escape from the sack, was the word for word one. The figurative is, don't tell the secret. You know what idiom that refers to. So again, this is your word for word one. So this is the one that should give you the closest idea.
Oh, don't
don't let the cat out of the bag. See, right here, cat in a bag, they're sitting on it. So you should be able to look at this picture and figure out it is, don't let the cat out of the bag. But then the figurative definition of that is, don't tell someone a secret. So there you have them telling, we'll try another one. Literal is, I'm stuck in a salty soaked cucumber.
I'm in a pickle.
There you go. Figurative is, I'm in trouble. So you draw a picture of, and the literal for the word for word, then the same thing with the figurative one over there. Kill someone by punch or do a really good job.
Knock him out.
Close.
Knock out of the work.
Knock them dead. And so going out for like an interview, like, hey, knock them dead, that's what they're going for there. How about having your cranium in the puffy things in the sky, or someone is
Put
daydreaming.
your head in the clouds.
Go. Having your head in the clouds, having your cranium in the puffy thing in the sky, someone is daydreaming. There you go. And carry your vegetarian stripeless zebra, or stop what you're doing.
Horses.
It was. I did not have that other example on there when this kid did this. So I didn't want to get rid of it because I liked the picture and the fact that said vegetarian stripeless zebra made me smile. I paid with a calf and a forearm, or it cost a lot of money.
It cost me an arm and a leg.
It cost an arm and a leg. So here's what you're going to do for yours. If you take a look at your paper, one, put name on paper. If you don't have name on it, it makes it real tough. Then pick an idiom that we've not had up on screen. There are thousands of them, and I can show you more examples in a second. If you've never heard of the idiom, don't use it. So if we get to like, don't cry over spilled milk, and you're like, I've never even heard of it, don't choose it. Once you've picked your idiom, figure out your literal definition, and then figure out your figurative definition. You have literal and figurative definitions, and then draw the pictures that go along with it. I'm looking for them to be in color. I'm looking for you to fill the box. If you're not a good artist, I'm fine with that. I'm looking more for the effort you put into it. There are directions up at the top. Make sure you pay attention to direction-y things. Originally, I was going to have you guys turn these in when you saw me next week, but you're not going to see me next week. So now on Canvas, there is an assignment where you can turn these in, and you'll just take a picture of it and then just submit it that way. My goal had been to hang them up in the hallway so you guys could brag to other kids, but I can still do that, but there won't be any kids to see them. But I may still try and print them out to like brag to other teachers. So that's when I have you guys turn them in. Owen, hang on, before I come on. One last thing before I forget on it over Owen. If you want to do it digitally, you can do it digitally instead. If you're like, my daughter does like a drawing on her iPad and stuff like that, you are more than welcome to do it digitally because I have the digital version on Canvas. I'm fine with that. All right, now Owen. Absolutely, you can search idioms. As an example, here is a list of idioms to help you out. So if you want to take a look at that list or Google, literally you can just type in, give me a list of idioms, and the internet will go, here's 1,000. You're like, nah. So when you choose your idiom, make sure you know what it is. So if you have chew the fat of someone, if you've never heard that one, don't choose it. So make sure you choose an idiom you've heard of before. You cannot make up an idiom. You can't just go with, it's raining giraffes and lizards. That's not an idiom. By definition, an idiom has to be one other people have heard of. So you cannot just make up your own idiom. It has to be an idiom that already exists. Owen. Technically, yes, but by next Tuesday, no. That'd be really hard to do to get it to catch on really. But new idioms are created all the time. It's just, it takes a while for them to catch on. The other bad news I have for you is you have a quiz. I told you it was going to come. It's just the fact that we're not going to have time to do it during class. Apparently, we've fallen behind because yesterday we were way behind. And I did not realize we had not done that in-jest poem at all, so that kind of threw us even farther behind. And then you guys really enjoyed learning today, so I blame all of you because I'm completely innocent. And so that sort of put us more farther behind. But the good news is, one, it's not due till Saturday. The other good news is, if you turn it in late, what happens to you? Yeah. Can I make you stand next week? No. Is there an IXL homework connected to this?
No.
No. So the worst that happens is you can't get a perfect score. If you are already planning on failing it, then it's not going to impact you a whole lot. Now, given we are going to be going over the
Oh, what's that?
announcements, hang on.
Cool.
Anyway, so just to tell you, make sure you get quiz done before Monday, because Monday we're going to be going over it together and stuff like that. If it's not done by Monday, then I do put it on Skyward as a 0, but then once you get it fixed, you'll be good to go. You get 2 attempts on quiz and stuff like that. So this homework due Tuesday night, and then you have quiz due this weekend. That's all I have. I'm going to miss seeing you guys. Take off. I look forward to making fun of you guys online.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.